My fenlings, work 'em. Work 'em, yeah. It is your furry host, Fen-Sized, on this lovely Tuesday evening. It is our art stream. Holy moly! Holy moly! Like, you literally... I'm only like a couple seconds in and you're already here. Isn't it late for you, my guy? Caught you red-handed. Caught you. Yeah, I usually start at 9:30, but it's always technical issues, so I'm always having to play, figure it out. Blah blah. No! Holy moly cannoli. Oh, that's different. Okay, so Stream Elements is posting. Yes. No. Just don't stay up too late. That's all. Like, oh. So, your opinions, because it's like, I wasn't sure how to set the hat on your head. Like, maybe poke your ears through. Mint, how you doing? Good evening. What's up? I'm doing more of the doodlings. Oh yeah, for sure, on Friday I'm gonna probably do a game. So on Epic, there's this game that's gonna be free, what, on Thursday or whatever? And what's it called again, Kaiju?
1 second.
Hey Mage, hey, what's up?
Spirit of the North.
Spirit of the North is the name of the game, and there's like a fox in it. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna play that. No ears? Okay, so you want the hat to cover. Got it. No problem. Thank you for the input. Write it on my thingy. Got it. I know, yeah, I want the other emotes to get approved too. It typed it, bruh. What? I'm glad you're enjoying them. I really hope I can get the other ones approved. Especially my dancing one. Kaiju's like, I want to abuse that. Okay. So yeah, I tried resizing a little bit and tilting the angle on the bow. And the roller, I think, what do you think of the size of the roller? I first doodled it out.
Mother, I live. Mother, my friends are here. They have brought ice cream. Mother, let me eat. Mother, I crave ice cream.
Why do you crave ice cream so much? Who gave you ice cream in the first place? Rats snuck it to you or something? You're not even supposed to eat it. Hedgehogs aren't supposed to eat it. No! So yeah, I gotta figure out, little thingy-bobbies here and there, and then I gotta start on talent. Poor guy's the only one left out. I assure you he will be there. Let me see. I think it's together. Yeah. I'll just erase it so I don't forget. Sorry, floof-floofs. No ears for you. They are going to be hided in the hattoos. Floof, floof. That way we can see the cute little dapper bow better. I hope y'all are doing great. When Rat comes in, everyone remind Rat that they owe me big time. Hooray. Oh yeah, you were in Wally's? I think you were lurking because they called you out, Mint. I kind of lurked too, because it's like, yeah, I'll be there to lurk. But, you know. Yeah, I'm so glad that my, I don't know if y'all call it GIF or GIF or whatever, but anyway. I thought it would go to waste because that was one of my first animations. And of course I couldn't save it with a transparent background and junk. Then found a way around with using GIMP, which is awesome because for some reason my paid clip studio doesn't do transparent backgrounds for animated images, yet a free software does? Tell me that? What the heck? Oh, how did they call you out? Well, you were lurking and you didn't even post anything, and I guess they were looking at their viewers. So they said hi and thank you for lurking and how you doing, but I don't know if you responded or not. Like in the very beginning of the stream. I think I posted just a few times and then I just went on to lurking because I was working. Okay. So, either I'm gonna start on Alan, maybe do the witch hat. Let me see. What am I doing? Let's... Maybe I'll do the witch hat or something. It's just a scribbly mess. But hopefully once I get to do the line art, it's gonna look nice and crispy. Yes! Thank goodness. Because after I updated OBS, it was being a pain in the booger snots. And even after I went through the tutorial and everything to do exactly as I was told, it's like, no, it's not gonna work. So Demon helped me. Thank you. Fluffy! Welcome, welcome, and Fluffy! Thank y'all for coming. I feel loved. But yeah, I'm working on a doodles. It's my first commission. For Mr. Demon Werewolf here. He broke my commission. Scary. That's terrible. That's just terrible. Where is everything? Yeah, I want to get rid of those extra scribbles because they annoy me. I got too many scribbles everywhere. Might as well make another layer. Hooray! I'm not late. I blame you for not putting the roll ping in the Discord announcement. Oh my gosh, I didn't! I didn't? Oh gosh. But I posted it in fudge cakes. It's not one thing, it's another. I posted Twitter though. I posted Twitter. Okay, I'm updating it. There, now all of a sudden you'll get a ping, be like, it's too late, Fen, it's too late. Hey, Sunset. No, I am not sus. I am not. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm probably gonna have to cover the ears in the hat, or I can poke them through the top. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do, because I like my ears. Let's see how I'm gonna do... a bunch of scritchy scratchies until I figure out what the hey I'm doing. An auto what, Kaiju? An auto ping?
Something.
Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. You have a bot that auto pings when you go live. Well, I guess Stream Elements did that in the chat, right? Does that count? I don't know. But yeah, I know in Streamlabs, before I went live, I'd be able to put in Twitter with it and stuff, at least. The ping that I was live. Let's see. You can make one, but it feels it's a bit of a pain, rather makes a more personalized note to all. You know, and I always forget to update my stream information too. Mother of pearl. Right when I think I have everything set and hunky-dory. It's just retarded! I'm telling you, like last time, I gotta put like a to-do list before I go live. I'm a mess. Let's see, so... That's not... I'm not working on emote. There we go. Cool, cool. In my Discord. Oh, so yeah, I got the roles. So I give them the option to get announcements or not, because I don't want people to be spammed all the time. So yeah, it's totally up to them. I have a channel devoted to whatchamacallit, roles. So whether it's like pronouns or what console you have, or if whether or not you want announcements and live pings, you can click on it, and then of course, you know, if you're part of it, you'll receive the notification. So that's my thing. Did you hear what game title has been properly announced? Okay, which one? Because I just saw the one for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and also Assassin's Creed Mirage. So I'm just like, oh! I am so happy! My hint. Let me look. A carrot. And what's that? What is that? Leaves. A carrot and leaves.
Bugs Bunny. Big chunk.
Big... No, Kaiju, it's not Big Chungus. So...
No!
Oh, gosh. And it's a game? Like, it's not Moon Harvest or some weird thing like that. I don't know. What would it be? Those are hard. Yeah, Raven Rabbids or whatever. Wow, Kaiju. Carrots and leaves, carrots and a sunflower, carrots and leaves. Big Chungus joining multiverse? Possibly. I saw an article on that. I think I put that on my Twitter too. I think so. Pikmin 4! Dude, I think I only played a little bit of the first one, and I haven't kept up with the rest. I'm sorry, my guy. Pikmin. Yeah. You just pull men out of the ground. You're my friend now. Follow me. I'm hype. Love the real Pikmin games. Yeah, like, I remember the first one, and it looked cute, but I just never ended up getting any of them. And of course, like,
Did your brother play it?
yeah, my brother played it when we did Smash Brothers, and he was annoying as heck.
No, I mean like he had the game.
Oh,
Like,
Joe,
or something.
Jose Cito?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
guess so.
Yeah, I think he did. Hide the corpse of Hey Pikmin in the closet. Good thing I don't know about that then, I guess, right?
I think that was their Pokemon Go.
They're... Oh.
They made a Pokemon Go version of Pink Niantic.
That happened.
And if he's hiding the corpse of it,
Hooray! I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know, Kaiju. What the dog doing? What the Fen doing? Okay. You know how Sylvie, when you watch her streams, Kaiju, that she has that cat bap and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those are so heckin' cute. So cute. Also fun not to be a butt, but shall we do a bit of work on talent so I can respond before passing out? So shall we ignore Bun Bun for now? Let's see. So, let's see. On this dude, let me go on his ba. Okay. We're gonna put a different color so I don't mess up on whatever. And maybe... click. It's like I changed my mouse sensitivity, but at the same time, it still feels like sensitive. I hope it didn't like automatically get all crazy on me again. What the heck? Oh, okay. So, facing Pank while shooting, a little comical, like a Tom and Jerry-esque expression. Yay, hooray for double monitors. Definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna... for size reference, I guess. So more like... Oh gosh, hold on. I can't do nothing. I got nerves, that's all. I got the nerves. So like, would he be... Like, what pose would you be in for that? Like, you're like on your last rope and you're trying to shoot kind of deal. I'd have to do like one of those whatchamacallits. Or like trying to do like a double. Like, I don't know. You'd have to do like the bigger, trying to shoot as he's being splatted underneath the thing. Or like I'm not sure exactly what pose. Like I could try to do it where like he's lying down on his stomach, having his two guns out, trying to get her, or let me see. What else could I do? Bigger eraser. Oh, that's right. Like you wanted something like that along the lines? Well, no, not like that. Kaiji's trying to help me too. He draws. Facing her, shooting him. Shooting Hank, but also like with an expression. Hey, sheep! Hi, welcome in. Yeah, facing Hank, and shooting. That's what he wants.
More like the first one, but aim more like aim.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to figure out what kind of expression. Hold on, let me look at some examples. Hold on. Because if you're thinking like Tom and Jerry-esque stuff, let's see what we can find under Tom. No, don't start that. Don't start it. Like, sheep's embracing it, good for you, but that would drive me nuts, sheep. In fact, I'm not even the one getting bullied, but I'm like enough pit boy. Oh, it does? Okay. Don't let them know your weakness. Stay strong in front of Rat. Stay strong. Okay, let me see here. Images. What do we got? Ba 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 ba. A lot of tongue. Like literally, like his tongue sticking out. Maybe. Talon's getting squished by the roller from Werewolf. Yeah. Why, you're looking at his references? Yeah, I have him on here. Do you want me to pull him up? Hold on. Clicky click. Where did you go, my spotted friend? Here we go.
Okay.
That's what he looks like. Kaiju's like, I'm helping.
I try.
He tries, yeah. Drawing's going good. I'm pretty happy with how Pink turned out. I still have to just put a hat on me, I think, of just minor adjustments. I gotta draw Talon in there. Let me see. That, I don't know, maybe something like that would be cute. Hold on. Let me see if I can save this image and bring it up in the references. Boop. Where are you? Where are you? I just saved you. There we go. So there's this kind of face. Like a little ooh face. What else I got? Save. And here. Then there's, let's see. Where are you? Where are you? That's the one I just pulled up. This one. Then there's like this one where it's more of like an angry face of Tom. Got wool jean jackets? How does wool jean jackets work? Is that even possible? I guess. I'm curious.
Or is it like the way it's woven?
Honestly, I don't even know. There's this expression. Oh, it's okay. I found a couple, I guess, of Tom. Like, if you're looking for a certain expression. Like this one. You can't find Tom steamrolled. I found him one with, gosh, was it? Hold on, let me save it. It's not what you're looking for, I don't think, but, all the same, I just want to show it. So he's about to be cut by scissors. I'm sorry. It just looks weird. Okay, let me see if I can find more. You'd think you'd find him, like, being pressed with an iron or something, or an anvil. I don't know.
Or run over by a train.
Oh yeah, run over by a train.
Or anvil.
Yeah. I'm scrolling. Yeah, possibly like that, Kaiju. Possible. Kinda right, but no, yeah. We're gonna get that. Okay. Let's see. He looks like a table. Oh, that's adorable. Someone actually made it.
Oh, the table one? Like the coffee
Yeah.
table? I think
You saw that?
A long time ago.
I'll show it for chat in case they're curious. Hold on. I just wish when I saved it, it would like automatically go to the bottom instead of like mix in. Hold on, let me just do recent then. Recent. Da-da-da-da-da. That's better. Look at this table, guys! How cute! I don't know if you can see it well on stream, but look,
See it.
it's so cute! Okay, looking for more. Maybe, let's see, Tom and Jerry. What kind of words would I put in? Okay. Flat like a pancake. Okay, that's pretty adorable. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked because there's like so much cute stuff. I'm just...
The ones with the stairs? Like
Yes!
the stairs?
Yes, the one with the stairs. Oh, hold on. I didn't mean to do that in a new layer. Wait, look at that! Let's see. I found... like a flat anvil face, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Square one.
Yeah, I see the square one. Oh my gosh, what? Look at this thing. What? 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 Oh my gosh. No, that doesn't look right. That looks wrong. He's being blown up, but that's the opposite of what we need. Curses. Maybe they don't have something exactly like that. You think they would? Oh, wait, what? Did you just say yes? Is this the one?
That's what he needs now.
No! Don't make me draw that abomination. What is it? Like, what are you supposed to be? Looks like a crab. It looks... Oh god. Oh, okay, he found something. Post it on Discord? You got it? Hold on, let me look, see here. Yeah, because unfortunately on my thing I don't have the links on chat. So if you could send it on Discord right quick. Or DM me. DM or whisper or whatever. Oh my gosh, what? Be the idea, but face down, not up. Okay. Nothing major. Just right. Okay, hold on, I gotta look at this again. So literally going flat on. Gotta get back to the frame because it only happens for like a couple seconds. More toony, maybe more inflated. So how much of his body? Do you just want his upper half, right? Let me see. Da boo ba da. Oh my. Like literally looked up someone getting steamrolled. It's like, ooh.
Oh, did you go pick
Yeah, I saw real pictures.
that one?
Hello, little hobbit.
Hello. Yeah, sorry, Floofy. No links on there. You'd have to whisper me or send it in the Discord. Let's see. Let me do. It's like I'm trying to figure out because like shooting at the same time as being squished alive. Like, oh, I imagine the agony. Like, oh god. You like trolling my Nightbot. Gee, thanks, guys. Like, of course, when I draw them, it might look too big, but I can always adjust the size later. I just need to get, like, the main idea. I might have to make Hank disappear just because I don't know, I don't want to get in the way of the lines and stuff. So, golly, like, both at the same time? Or, like, one, like, he's holding the gun there, but he's trying to shoot. So I'd have to do, like, one of those, where it gets bigger, like foresight, whatever it's called, right, Kaiju? One hand down, mid squish, one hand up? Okay, like mid squishing its hand. Ow. So, like, not him like that, more like it's literally pinned underneath the roller. And they got one last shot. Oh yeah, right hand, so it would be vice versa, or you mean like our right? You know what I mean? Because then it'd be opposite in the picture. Vice versa, okay. Let's... Boop-a-doop-a-doop-boo. Make sure that you're gonna get smushied. And here... Like, let's see. It would have to be on the ground a little bit, and then it'd go bigger or something like that. Something similar. Yeah, I'd have to look at some references for the foreground thingy-mabobby. I would imagine, like, you'd have some paint just spilling out all over. Oh gosh, the agony. Alright, Mint. See you in a bit. Okay, hold on. So let's get rid of some of these other references. Gosh, what face expression? Like, would it be an Angie? Would it be more like focused? I want to have some death, just a little. What's going on in chat? Let me make this a little more small now. Yeah. Be more of this. Okay. Figure out. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I gotta get the hat too. Do I already have it in here? No. Okay, hold on. Ah! Let me get the reference for... Ah! Keep clicking the wrong buttons here. For the hat. Here's that. And so... I'll be able to switch back and... So we're gonna get rid of the toms for now. Jeez Louise. Jeez. I go fetch. Okay, so here's under. Little Hobbit. Oh, I fetched the wrong hat. Oh, you're right, you're right. Thank you. I have the right one. Here we go. It looks more like a cowboy hat. Let me delete the other one so I don't get confused again. Nya, nya, nya. Where art thou, folder? Here we go. References. Just get you out of the picture. Thank you. Okay. Cowboy hat. Okay. Maybe more up? Hold on. And it wouldn't be. No! 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 I would never ask anyone to donate that much. Holy moly, no. Look, Kaiju, 69. Nice. Thank you for the bits. You don't have to. You already paid me. Gosh. You don't have to do extra. I can figure the angle for this thing. Like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna wait on the hat. Let me just focus on the ears and stuff first. I'm gonna go back to the dude and do the hat last. No, I'll flip it around upside down. I got my jitters. Me? Get Splatoon? I really would. There's a lot of games that I'd like to have. I can't right now. And I can't just leave Kaiju in the dust. Right, Kaiju? If I get those games, wouldn't you want to play them with me? That's the thing that sucks about getting, like, multiplayer stuff, you know? Like, I don't know if, let's see.
Hello, little hobbit.
I'd imagine he'd be like yapping or something. Like at least have his mouth open. Like, oh god. Well, you know, like online multiplayer and stuff. Cause like we have like 2 copies of Splatoon 2. We got 2 copies of Mario. All that kind of stuff. So if we ever want to play together and online and all that junk, you know, I'd have to get two, which sucks, you know. Whereas if it's just like an adventure game like Zelda, it's like we could just take turns playing that, you know? We wouldn't have to spend the money for both. Makes me sick to my stomach how much money that is, like, together. Like, oh gosh. I don't know about a smile. It's not what I'm looking for. Maybe wide eyes. I don't know. Let's see, you got spots. Okay, so it would be that one. Then it would be... Ah! I don't know. Hmm? Okay. Yeah, I don't want you to stay up too late. You destroy yourself for tomorrow. As far as Bun Bun, are you referring to Talon, or I apologize. Okay. Yay, 5 hours. It sucks. It sucks. Okay, let's see. I don't know how I do the eyes right now. Oh, hey! He's being derp. Welcome in! I am the guy they hired. Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. So, okay, for sure, he's a Bun Bun. Okay. I don't want to make him more like Canine. That's probably what I was doing. My bad. So, then it'd be more of a... Aw. Half fox, half rabbit. Okay. So would you say keep the canines? Or... Okay, kudos. I'm trying to figure out the expression that I'm gonna do, because we were thinking something comical, Tom and Jerry-esque. Couldn't find a exact example. It's hurt. Getting flattened. Oh, snap. More bun pop. How long would you say your ears would be? Like, would this be a decent length or longer? Really gotta find stuff for a forearm kind of foresight, whatever it's called. Is it like, you know how it's like close
yeah.
with the hand? Yeah. Yeah, Kaiju. Kaiju Kittens is my husband, though. He helps me, so he's the guy in the background, the voice in my head. Yeah, just voices. I'm crazy. Okay. I feel so self-conscious. Demon told you it's like my first time. Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm nervous. I'm scared. Yeah, I gotta look at an example here. Hold on. Blah, blah, blah. Type permit in the chat. I got a bad feeling about this. Is that how you I did it when you spelled it. Was it permit, right? Like, was it I? I'll send you directly. Oh, links? Oh, okay. I didn't even know I could do that. Thank you. Again for more tips. This'll help me. It'll help. Click.
Talon. Which one are you? You know what? We'll let you go just so Lee and Megas have a chance. Okay.
Was that? Was that Yelp? What? Hold on. I'm listening to it one more
Hi,
time.
Talon. Which one are you?
Nice. 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 Beep, 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 beep. Let me see, so... Gosh, what's it even called? Not that. I need a reference. It's something, right? I don't remember. Biscuit. I'll give you a moment of that one then. I'd have to figure out how I'd, I can always do that. Yeehaw. Okay, gonna go to bed. If you have a set type of dually, yeah. Okay. And the first set of dualies is, do you know the name of it? I can look it up. Let's see. I only see one version, but hold on, I'm on a different thingamabob. Here. And dualies. Okay, they're just flat dualies. Got it. Let me save these. So we're looking at these. Yeah. Kudos.
Demon werewolf says mother. S sniff sniff. A big bad man in red with a mean look stole my ice cream. The bad man says they wanna make everyone hear them eating it.
Oh, this is delicious!
Okay, you got me the first step. I'm like, what big red man? That was good. You guys are gonna force me to give this Hedgie ice cream. You guys, you don't feed that stuff to wild animals. Oh, put them in a sundae bowl rolled up
Just like this, just
with a cherry on top. Oh, poor Hedgie. Poor Hedgie. What? They're just gonna like roll in it? They're gonna wait for it to melt and lap it up? What are they gonna do? I gotta figure out, let's see. So if it's, see this one. Oh, let me see. Gun. Gun, gun, gun. Guns are fun. Lay between it and be the scoop of ice cream. Kaiju, why? Kaiju's like, oh. Like, no. Holy moly cannoli. Holy moly cannoli. What's going on? I'm awake in the morning and I step out. Get real high. Ah, Racer Crucio. Always that little clicker. There we go. Why? Not eraser, pen, pencil. It's still erasing. Why is it still erasing? There. You're driving me crazy. Not sure how to do the eyes. Here to share one of the other gifts I got you a chat, or keep it a surprise so you can set them up. Oh, yeah, I gotta set them up. Probably hear it through the desktop audio though. Let me see. Bum, bum, bum. Where are you? Clicky click. Let me turn off the music. Okay. So Demon was able to help me get some sound bits. It makes me happy. Here comes the boy.
Hello, boy. Welcome.
You hear it?
Comes. There he is.
Or no?
Here comes the boy. Welcome.
Yeah.
There he goes. Here he comes. There he is. Welcome.
Here comes the boy. The last one. The boy. Hello, boy. Welcome. There he is. He is here. It's lovely. It makes me happy. So Kaiju said you could hear, yeah? So, yeah, I just didn't want to put the volume too high, though. It was fine. No, yeah, I didn't want to max it. Especially the Gremlin one. I love that. Like one time I was playing a montage of it. Different, you know, TikToks and short videos, but the song played over and over again. I was jamming out to that. The kids were like, "Stop, Mom, stop." Never. 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 Gosh golly. I feel bad. Like, poor talent getting splatted. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much agony. Boop. I've been trying to find really cute, like, videos of fennec foxes and stuff. Because as I was mentioning with Sylvixen, they do the cat baps as a redeem. So if I can edit that video, like green screen it and stuff, that'd be pretty dope. Find a cute fennec. Thank you, Talon. Thank you. Yay. Yeah, I have one of those. I follow the Daily Fennec, but most of them are images. I don't see many videos. I know they're there, but at least on the one I follow, it's like, oh, there's all images. If not, I'm wondering if I were to do a redeem and I could just have a bunch of random Fennec photos. Like, I wonder if I could do that. You know what I mean, Kaiju? So you redeem it and one out of the random in a bucket full of
Like
photos, it would
camera roll effect.
choose one, be like, aww. He just barely eking out wings at the moment. Wing. Sheep, 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 sheep. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how the heck I'm gonna do this gun. Hold on. Oop. Where did I put you? Where did I put you? Okay, I'm gonna do the guns on a separate layer. It's just crazy. Okay, so it's one dually and there, here. What's that? It's like a falls forward. Of course, I'm gonna have to probably resize it, but as long as I get it out on there and I can tweak it later, that's all that matters. Oh. Jeez Louise. Just gotta believe. Believe it! Okay. Big tank, but not too big. And I think that's one, and okay, behind it, it ends on this pole thing. Holy moly cannoli, holy moly cannoli. We're doing holy mollies, holy moly cannoli. Cannoli. Okay, so from there. What are you laughing at, Kaiju?
I'm trying to make it the most obvious. I literally might do a thing. I can do it like a closet in front of the killer. Like he's
Really? Sorry. Kaiju's playing Dead by Daylight. He's not streaming it, but he's just playing, and he's laughing at himself because he did like the most obvious Scooby-Doo thing, where he's hiding in a closet right next to the killer.
like right in front of
Right
the
in
killer.
front of
I
him,
went in the closet
literally.
in front of him.
Oh, you did!
And
You
he's
went in the...
just
So he literally, as he was watching him, the killer watched him go in the closet in front of him. The killer, is he gonna get you out? Or is he just like laughing?
Just was like,
Like, are you an idiot or what? I hope they had a good laugh then. You know, like, not too long ago, I was playing Splatoon 2 with, oh gosh, what's his name? He's a streamer. He's, Tanuki. I forget his name. I think, was it Mince? Gosh, I'm gonna forget. But yeah, anyway, I'm used to doing Turf Wars. I'm pretty good at Turf Wars. But then they have all these other games that I've never touched. I forget what they're called, but pretty much one of them's like King of the Hill and whatever. Bull! Yeah. Propane and propane accessories. But yeah, it sucks. I'm just good at Turf Wars. Give me Turf Wars. Okay, hold up. Hold up, Buttercup. Okay. Where's my gun? Here we go. Gun. Gundams. I want to assemble a Gundam. It's tedious, but I really like it.
Assembled a couple.
No, yeah, I assembled a couple kaiju. But I miss it. It's just like, which one would I want to do, though? That's the question. I love Gundams. I don't watch all of the series. I'm just hung up on... I know it's not everyone's favorite. Probably lame. But I loved G Gundam because I watched it on Toonami growing up with my bro. And I love it. I already have Master Asia and Domon Kashu with his mobile suit. But yeah. Like, what else would I want? I tried to watch Gundam Wing, but for some reason I just couldn't get into it. For the most part, let's see, from here and there. I think I got it mostly. I just need to do hand. Oh yeah, I guess I'll zoom out. And where is... Oh yeah. Tank. So yeah, definitely gotta resize it and everything, and it'll be fine and it'll fit in the image, but just getting the doodle in there. I gotta get the hat on too on mine. Gosh. Golly gosh. Oh my gosh. Where are you? Doobie-doo. Okay, so I'm looking at my hands right now because I need reference. It's like, oh, I got a hand. Here we go.
Where can I get this reference? Oh wait.
Where can I get this? Demon, what are you still doing? Go to bed. Go to bed. Less than 5 hours. Okay, 5 hours is literally like the sweet spot. Like, if you do any less than 5 hours, in my opinion, it's like you're really asking for it. At 5 hours, you're still gonna be feeling it, but no, don't go any deeper. No. Hand. Okay, so this would be this one. So holding it outward. Fudge cakes and crackers. Okay, so there it would be inside of here. Oh, hold on. Cheese and jam here. So I would have it here. Figure that out later. And I don't want it 12. Why is it? Oh, it's the stupid eraser. It does it all the time. Drives me bananas. I'm gonna be. Oh, okay. So you wouldn't quite. Like, unless, yeah, it'd still be covered. I have to figure out the angle though for sure. Get it right. But for now, let me try to figure out size. Give me mouse here. So, I'm gonna take you, and I'm gonna take you, right? You know what? I'm just gonna merge you with this one. And I'm gonna resize it a little appropriately. I think a little bit smaller, maybe. And we're gonna do... Let's play a little bit with the perspective. Maybe. Maybe. Not what I'm looking for. Come on. Oh, a little bit like that. Yep. A little bit. Like you're being sucked into the vortex. That doesn't seem bad. Poor thing. Let's try it with the gun. No, not wider. Maybe... Maybe I'll probably size it a little bit smaller, but I think I got the right perspective at least. I imagine it. What do you think about that bag? Or a little smaller on the gun. Kaiju. Because I did perspective and I sized it.
That's about right.
Yeah. It's not too big? Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. On Splatoon 3? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love the Splatoon games. I really can't wait to have it. Just probably gonna end up waiting until holidays. Like, hey guys, you don't have an idea for gifts for me? Just go on my throne or something. It's like I have it right there, written down. Then again, I should put games on there, huh?
Yeah.
I think I've seen other users put on their Steam wishlist too. Oh, excuse me. What I thought would have been cool, but I don't think would be able to do it, is like if our community ever wanted to do like an event and get each other small gifts, like you know how they do Secret Santa and stuff like that, but do it online. But the only thing I feel is that everyone would have to have a throne, but throne, you have to wait to get approved. Unless...
Get a few, like,
yeah, I think you get like 1 or 2, maybe even 3. I'm pretty sure at least 2 links when you finally get approved that you can send them to those other people and they'll automatically get approved. But I thought it was always a neat idea, like if anyone ever wanted to do that around Christmas time, do a Secret Santa, have a very small budget, wouldn't be a lot of money, and that we'd buy gifts for each other. And then we wouldn't have to dox one another, because, you know, it's all anonymous and whatever. I always thought it was a cool idea. If I had more money, I'd have more fun. Like, I got kids now, it's a lot harder, but before, me and Kaiju had so much fun shopping for people during the holidays, and we'd get upset when Secret Santa would happen, because then we can only buy for one person, because we'll go out to a store and we'll see a bunch of stuff, like, you know, throughout the year or whatever, and think, oh, that's so cool, this person will like this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Feel like, Kaiju opinion. So, gun too big still, or like does you know how I'm overlaps? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Maybe a or you don't want it too tiny. But we don't want it to hit up on, because then I feel like the angle's not right. That or I could just make the canvas bigger. Let's play around with that real quick. Let's see. We can always redo things lighter. But I think just a little bit more wiggle space. Rearrange thingy mabobbies. Okay, so I need to move. Let's see. And okay. Boop. Yeah, I feel like a little bit extra distance helps. Kaiju opinions.
Yeah, that does help.
Yeah, okay, kudos. Kudos, kudos. And, well. Ah! Wah, 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 wah. Just roughy sketchies and smooth things out later. Let me finish the little hat hang here, and then I think I'm gonna start doing a little bit of line art on Pank. That way I can start making it clean. Clean it up. Clean it up. Figure out how I do this dab-nabbit hat. Because I don't want to get rid of my ears for the hat. How big should I make it? Hold on. Bum, 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 bum. Like, I don't mind if it covers my floof on my head, because that looks weird. Weird. Possibly, la la la, what the hey? Yeah, it looks too fat. Look, too fat. Oh, I love that video. It's amazing, kaiju. Bow, bow. Bow. Would you bow? Would you bow? I feel like maybe. Hold on. Scribbles, they be uggy, but there's a process. Yeah, I have a throne. It's in my About Me section. I haven't updated it in a while. I kind of just threw some random stuff, some other things. I don't know. I always find it interesting. I like looking at other people's thrones because then it gives me like an idea like what they're like. But oh my gosh, there's several that I've looked at, and I'm assuming that chat manipulated it because one person had a lot of inappropriate adult toys and lingerie and cosplays along with the Holy Bible. Oh, it's like, what am I looking at? What? Like some of the stuff, it's like, there's nothing hidden, huh? Who was this? She was like, I want to see. I honestly forget their username, but I think they were one of the bigger ones. Which one?
Rose Doodle?
One of them was Rose Doodle.
I thought that's what it was.
It could have been. I think there was like 2 people or 3 that were similar, like had that trend. Like blow up dolls, and it's like, why? Why? Shave me! Might as well give me a broom, jeez. That's like almost Halloween. Well, almost I say. It's like mid-September, right? Month and a half. I could have a witch's broom. I don't want to give myself more work. Okay. Doing the hanky-panky. Let's do... I wonder if they've ever made that joke before. Oh. Hey Sheep, are you doing an art stream tomorrow? I'm doing a regular one with Vigima Games. Vigima Games. Vigima Games. Let's see, what should I use for outlines? I could use a cream pencil. My go-to is usually the G pen, so it's a little schmoova. How thick should I make these lines? Maybe I go 12, but I don't have to do full thick. Thank you for doing the shout out, Kaiju. Oh, really? So you're not sure what you're gonna do tomorrow? Okay, let's try. I'm on the right layer, right? Yeah. Always check that. Always. I want it to be rounded, but not. can always go back. No, doesn't look great when it's all same. No, I'll go back part. Yeah. Trying to make the sense of chaos that I've created. We're behind or in front of it? Let me bring her up. Bring him up. Where are you? Off that one, and we have the one that's supposed to be outward and oh wait. Here's my ear. Here's that. Let me go back. Get back, get back. Pretty sure that's what it was, because then it hit that. Literally trying to make sense of my chaos. Gonna make sure I know who in chat is naughty or nice. Oh! If you want, I can send you a link to get it approved, Sheep. It's been a while. Hold on. Because I think, like Kaiju said, when I get approved, I can send it to like 2 or 3 people. So if you want it approved now, I can do that. I didn't know they did that, Kaiju. So apparently old Gmail, someone had to approve you that already had Gmail?
Yeah.
What? Okay, hold on. Where would I find it? Let's see. That's the question, because I used to know where it was. Invites. Yeah, I got 2 invites left. I gave one to Kaiju, and he has wasted it. You have sullied it.
Got it.
Yeah, but you haven't set it up. So do you want to be automatically approved for Throne Sheep? I got 2 invites left. I don't know who I'm gonna give them to anyway. Yeah! Hold on. I will DM you or whisper you the invite code. Okay? Yeah, I'll just whisper it to you. See if that works for you and let me know. Where is my handy dandy? Seriously, trying to make sense. I'm like, oh, I'll know later, and I'm like, wait. Looking at these lines, I'm like, holy Holy moly. Okay, those are the extra long ones that come in the back. This one that comes out, and then this one that goes there. Just do all the lines and it'll make sense later. Oh, I'm in trouble. Everything. It'll be fine. That line wasn't for Herdifer and a Hurdy-Furdy. That one isn't. You're welcome, sheep. You're welcome. Again, I don't know who else I would have given it to. So I got one more invite. We'll see. Because I was thinking, like, one of my brother-in-laws would want it, you know? I'm surprised they haven't. I don't think they do. And I always thought that they would make one. I'd be like, okay, I can toss one their way. Like, I know, of course, the sheriff, he already streams, but, like, Mason, too. Like, Mason never... I don't know. I can't see him being full-on committed to it. Okay. Ah! I always press the wrong button. Buttons. Buttons. Button. I need to try to make sense. Making sense of... Gotta do it again. I can show you the way. Think what, babe? But I think since Sheep got approved, I think he gets invites too. So like when... Oh, that's what he was talking about? Oh, sorry. I wasn't reading chat. You a fool. You married a fool. Thanks, babe. Right back at you. It's a trap. But yeah, when you're on Throne, if you go down on the left-hand side under Profile, it'll show invites, and from there you can get your invite code or the link to it or whatever. Sweet. Yep, got 3. So yeah, if you have any of your friends, maybe like your birdie friend and stuff, if they don't already have one, suggest it. Especially if they don't have to wait. Why not? Yeah, I am trying to make sense of what this chaos I have brought upon myself. Okay. Outer line there. Okay. I see. Past Fen. You are so sussy. Probably would help if I like lighten the stuff. No, not there. Scroll down. Make it a little lighter. That works. And then let's... Okay, you had that. Never say never. Here we go. You will always be my favorite sheep. Never forget that. And never feel like you have to do anything for me. You're my buddy. Yes, maid dress. Maid dress. Do it. Do it. Do it. Or a barista outfit. Yeesh. For real? Oh, that'd be great. No pressure, of course, but oh my gosh. I don't want to miss that. No, yeah, he said he wants to get a maid dress. Oh, PNG tubers? I make them myself. I've never done a commission, but if you ever were interested, I'd be open to chatting about it. If you want to see other examples of mine, I can show you my other versions. Hold on. So this is the one I use for, art streams and stuff, and eventually I'm gonna make redeems for it, but here's my buff fen. So, yeah, and it even comes with an extra pose. Oh! So there's that. And then we got, let's see, my dancer fen, like a tribal dance one. There's that. I only have one pose on this one, though. Let's see. And then I got my first and original one. Kind of after Retsuko. Agretsuko. This one I made a bunch of emotes for. So like, hold on, let me go through the hotkeys instead. So, little happy face. Sad face. Nervous. Or scared. Disgusted. Ooh woo. Ooh woo. And then my favorite, rage. I love it. And Nani? And a surprise one. And I thought I had more. Let me see. Let's see. That's enough for those. I did like an assassin one. But it didn't work out so much because like the gray went through it and stuff. I don't know. I'd have to tweak it. And I did one for like 4th of July as well. Literally just put them in like a cap and stuff. It was cute. I want to make another PNG tuber, and I want myself to, I guess, be like cosplayed as Braxian. I think Braxian, right? Yeah. The Pokemon for Halloween, and I think I wanted to put, yeah, the Fennec Fox one. And I wanted to, oh, night-night, Mints. Have a good night. Yeah, it's classic Fen. Cheese and crackers. And I wanted to do Hedgie in an outfit, maybe. But I'm not sure. Maybe like a Pumpkaboo outfit or something. I don't know. I like spoopy Pokemon. So cute! Alright, Minty. Take care. Bug you later. Nah, I'm always sussy, aren't I? Like, what'd I do now? What'd I do now? There we go. Bye. Bye.
Torlan says I MMA pass out. Don't forget to save.
Thank you, I will. Have a good night, Talon. Thank you for joining. Gosh, how long have I been in for? Almost 2 hours. I'll try to go for a while, but for sure, you know, 2.5 hours, and then I'm gonna cut it because I have a doctor's appointment in the morning too. And me and Kaiju might possibly go out somewhere. Did you talk to your brother about that?
Not yet. He'll be asleep most of the day.
Got it, okay. Trying to make sense of everything. Oof. 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 But yeah, this thing's supposed to be like takoyaki, like a golden toothpick. It'd be interesting trying to put it in there, because it has like gold flakes on it. You know how like you have edible gold? That's gonna be interesting. Like, how am I gonna do that? I'll figure it out. It's like I like and don't like this drawing hand because I feel like it covers the art while I'm trying to do it.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
But still need to.
Yeah, because like I still have the moving pen below. It's like, if anything, I can always get rid of the big old hand here. I don't know. That, or maybe just do the pencil. I've seen a couple people just do the pen, you know? That way it's not as cluttered. Ah, not the eraser. Here's you, eraser. I gotta do this long one. One comes from there. Okay. Way down. Okay, so hold on. Leap of faith. I don't like it. I like it. I don't like it. Nope. Oh, hold on. That was forward. Oh, hold on. I think it was... cheese and crackers. No, no. So yeah, with Demon Werewolf, if all works well, then I'm going to be doing several pieces for him. So possibly in the future, depending on what games he plays, I'll be doing art for those said games. Pretty much putting his OC and, you know, that universe and whatnot. And I think he's getting a JoJo game. So I might have to work on a JoJo piece. It's like, huh, that's interesting. Right, guys? The thing is, though, they have a lot of bright colors and bold lines in that too, yeah? Kaiju?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. That'll be fun. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I do well enough. Because ultimately this was part of the thing I wanted to do too. I think so. If all works well, I think he wants to do several projects with me where I'm like their go-to person. So we'll see how it goes, you know? It wouldn't be bad. Of course, you know, nervous starting up, but eventually I have to do it, you know? In order to get past the jitters and stuff, like, ugh. But yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't know you took commissions. I didn't. He found me and he's like, do this for me. I'm like, okay. That's... Where's my handy dandy? Let's see, redraw. No. I don't like how it does. Over here? No? Hold on. With the pinch. Might be a pinch. Yeah. Maybe? Yeah. Sweet. But yeah, if anything, like, I said sorry if it was too complicated and stuff, and it's fine. Giving me experience and things that I've never done, because, like, a multiple action pose, like, drawing, I don't think I ever would have done on my own, you know? Did you...
I shadowed on myself. I'm trying to remember, like, all the
shadow
holidays.
yourself. You crazy old coot. Oh yeah, Zamcat is doing, I think on this Friday, September 16th, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they're doing their little subathon. She'll probably be on forever, so even if you can't make it...
She's like a 12-hour plus.
Yeah, she usually, especially for a subathon, she's probably going to be on for like 12 hours. So even though it's like midnight Eastern Standard Time, that'd be 9 o'clock our time. Probably catch her in the morning, no problem. fingers. I hate fingers. I hate them. Hate them so much. Wee. Like turkey hands. Yay, I did a turkey, guys. Waluigi #1. Yeah, that looks terrible. She's got child hands. She's got babe hands. Well, it's a he.
There you go.
Or they, yeah. I can always go back to the hands later. Yeah, they seem a little off to me right now, so we'll wait on that. I'm not gonna stress myself out. 12 hours! Sometimes I slip in an accent or something. Sometimes I do it intentionally, sometimes I don't.
Hello, little hobbit.
Hello, little hobbit. If I ever get the time, I really do want to update stuff on the redeems and everything. I do. I got plans, see? I got plans. Ah, forgot vector. There we go. You say what? Oh, yawned. Okay. 2. Yeah, no problem. Let's see. Ah, no. Click. You okay, Kaiju? You dying?
Oh.
Trying to run and hide? You can't hide. I want to do those lines. Ah, why'd you go over there? I guess it was covered. Let's see, where do you go? You go about here. That stays.
Oh, God of War. Good W.
Would you guys say, let's see, what would you guys say are highlights from the Direct plus Sony State of Play? The Sony Direct or whatever? I didn't watch, like, Kaiju, did they do
I don't know.
all their conferences and stuff, or yeah, we don't really do Sony, unfortunately. Like, I used to have a PlayStation 3 and a 2, but I have never gotten the 4th or anyone after that. We just didn't find enough games that we were interested to invest in it. Though I do admit, once in a while there'll be 1 or 2 games, but unfortunately it's not enough to sway us to getting one. Like, if we had, like, a surplus of funds, you bet I'd have every console, but... But yeah... And my brother-in-law, he offered his older one, the PlayStation 4 at one time, but it's like, oh, I don't know, nah, I guess not, I don't know. He sold it now, but yeah, it's like, I don't know, like, I wanted to, I was super tempted, but I just couldn't justify it. Not that he was, like, giving it to me, though. It would be more like, okay, here, you can use it, kind of deal. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta try God of War. I know you guys suggested that to me before. I just never played it. Yeah, God of War. Yeah, that's exactly the game I'm, you know, God of War. Now, if someone hasn't made fan art of that, you have to make it now, Kaiju.
There we go.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. There's too much spotlight on that poor Pokemon. Hold on, I can do... Boop, boop. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I just want it straight. There we go. Like, why? Why you do this? Oh, hold on. Booger snots. Here, give me that roller. Roller. Give me that. Just to make sure it's all the same. Like, buff little apple, you little buff apple. Maybe bigger eyes? Oh, that's creepy. Closer? No. Creepy alien eyes. Oh my gosh. Maybe that. Maybe a softer bottom. Softer bottom? A little bit more rounded. No, I gotta redo it. Yeah, looks soft enough. Where are you? There we go. Eat that. Mm-hmm. That works. Now I could tilt them a little bit. That's what I wanted. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm totally story driven. So if that's the case, sign me up. Bucket, 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 bucket. Bucket, 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 bucket. There we go. Do the bucket with me. Skittles, kaiju.
I missed it.
Biscuits, kaiju. Super duper reference. Yeah. Koopa Koopa football players. No, I missed it where it goes in a little bit. Okay. Too thick. Ah, my cat ear hit the mic. My bad. I don't know if you even heard it. I'm sorry I'm getting quiet. I was just getting focused and like chilling with the tunes. My bad. 'Cause I have to be a source of entertainment for all the masses. I just don't know what to talk about. Do you, Kaiju? Besides, like, the games and oh! I also, posted it on the Discord, I think. So, I didn't know about this until I looked on Twitter, and apparently they're doing a new Looney Tunes cartoon. Yeah, and there was a few skits. Like, if you want to look at it, Kaiju, I posted, like, 3 different little skits in the Discord under the videos channel, or any of y'all if you want to look. But, yeah, it's interesting. You looking it up on Discord or online? Because I got 3 videos that you don't even have to search for it, Kaiju. There you go. I'm sorry, it's like, why do the legwork when I already got it for you? Silly, silly Kaiju. But yeah, give it a watch. It's interesting.
Oh, okay, no, it's the HBO Max.
Ah, that's what it is. Okay.
I've already watched.
You have?
Yeah.
You never told me about it.
I know they like little shorts.
Yeah, but you never told me about it.
There was nothing to write home about.
I know, but still, just those skits were interesting to me.
I'm sorry, but have enough HBO Max. I have HBO Max.
So how did you watch them back when you did? So they're not new at all then. I just never heard of them. Just trying to make conversation and you just like
show me this old swamp.
I'm just trying to be interested. See, they would believe me if you were abusing me.
But I am.
Yeah, sure. Sure, you are kaiju. Oh, like the classic one? I remember that, what, every Sunday or Saturday, maybe it was even both days, they would play cartoons on Cartoon Network, like Looney Tunes and He-Man and stuff.
There was a newer show that was actually really good.
Oh, you mean the one where there was actually story to it? Was it the one where Bugs and Daffy were, like, roommates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was...
And then, what's her name? Oh, was it Luna? Lola. Yeah, she was ditzy.
Anyway, yeah, she was a ditzy.
Yeah, ditzy airhead. What was she even on Space Jam? She was just there for eye candy. Strong, independent woman. Huh. I did it. I got it. Then again, hold on, let me look at my reference again. Got it. Yee. Oh no, I got kissed! I got cooties! Ew, kaiju. I love you too.
Even disgust me.
Well, I need to get more, whatchamacallit. Pretty much I gotta earn the emote slots. That or is it by bits? I forget. I gotta look that up now. I have to look it up. Do you know, Sheep? Do you know how you get more emotes? Like, do you have to have so many views or followers? I think one of them is unlocked by bits. I honestly, I don't. That or maybe how many subs you got. By points. From getting subs. Aww. Thank you, Sunset. Oh yeah, since you're here, Sunset, did the sheriff ever want to get a throne? Pretty much it's an online wish list. People can buy you gifts without giving away your address. I'm pretty sure you heard of it before, though. Because, like, I know the wait list takes forever, but if he was ever interested, I have one more invite left where he'd get, like, auto-accepted and all that stuff. Okay. Good to know, good to know. Yeah, because I have, like, ideas for emotes. Like, what? You can get up to 45 emotes? That's plenty. That's plenty to play with, you know? by giving a certain amount of bits. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys knew about it or not, but I felt like Wally would like that. Oh, you know what? I think, what is it? So, anyone who donates bits, they get exclusives. I think I have like 3 slots for those. For the bit ones, I think, right? Oh, what? Every 25 subs is 1 point? If that's the case, that's a terrible reward system. It's like cold cash. You only have to spend $100 to get like $3 in points. Oh, dear mother of pearl. Ah, I need my handy dandy pen. Pen. She's coming along nice. Sorry, like sometimes I take away the sketch so I can see just the lines. See, there's a method to this chaos. God. Definitely want to play that game though, that little fox Spirit of the North, or
Yeah.
looks fun. Watch, it's super serious. It's like, what's it called? What's it called? Water Down? No.
Watership.
Watership Down? Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch, it's just like that. Like, oh, this is a cute fox game. Oh gosh, why? What am I witnessing? I still want to play the cat game. I know everyone did it and already... Yeah, Stray. Like, it was a fad. Like, oh, everyone did it and now it's over. Hey. But it's like, I still want to play it. I want to be the cat. Spirit of the North. So on Epic Games, they're gonna be giving the game away for free. I think this Thursday or Friday? Thursday. Pretty sure. Sam, welcome in. How do you do? I'm fence-sized and I'm furry too. I don't know. Whatever. That's really lame. Hooray! How do you do? The life of the wife was ended by the knife.
Family Guy?
Yes, it is. I liked it. Well then, you are welcome. Cheese and crackers. Cheese. Cheese me. Crackers. Big Newtons. Maybe? No. Maybe, baby. No, baby. Curse you, lines of the art. Curse you. Okay, so I think the point system goes up the more subs you get. It's 1 point per sub, I believe, so 15 unlocks a new emote slot and animated. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now just to get that many subs. My friends have subbed me, and I think that is so sweet of them. So sweet. But I don't know if I'll get that much farther. Ew. Maybe I can do this at a different angle. Or was it the bagel? Let's see. Nope. Oh, pain. Pain. All I know is pain. Curse you, Teen Titans Go. I'm gonna kick you.
Paintball.
Yes, it's Painbot. Okay, the bit tier emotes are for giving in a collective per person 1k bits, 5 and 10. So if you can give bits over time to unlock the emote, doesn't have to be in one sitting. Huh. You know what game I don't hear a lot of people talk about? Stories, The Path of Destinies. Renardo is to die for. I have never heard of that. Hey, she's like, what the hell is Stories? Is it a PC game? Cheese. Cheese. Cheese! Maybe? Hold on, let's see, can I work with this one? Ugh, let me see. I don't know if I want to work with that one. Jiminy Cricket! Crikey. Best one I had, though.
What kind of furry shit is this?
What? Are you looking it up? Kaichu said inappropriate words that I am not going to repeat.
Fine.
I'm not gonna repeat your words. You file demon. No! You potty mouth. No. Turn to the dark side. Never. What did he say about my fox hunk? Talking smack is what he did. What? What you gotta say, Kaiju?
Say what I said. That's what I said, right?
I said what I mean, and I mean what I say, and well, how does it go? I said what I meant, and I meant what I said, and I'm gonna stick to it 100% or something like that. It's a Dr. Seuss book.
Oh, I don't know.
It's with the Horton
I thought you were
elephant.
quoting Popeye or something.
I am not quoting Popeye. What? That's disappoint me, Kaiju. Yet again. No, I'm kidding. Or am I? What you say? What you? What? No, you're mean to me. He's so mean to me. He bullies me. He says mean things to me. How could you, Kaiju? Ah. Woohoo! Detective Gator game? Later alligator? Side-scrolling beat him up. Huh. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Detective Gator. Detective Gators. Boom, 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 boom. Go, Gator, go.
No, it's not.
Ba-doom, ba-doom, boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, boom, boom. Go, Gator, go.
Okay. Rock the investigator.
Brock the Investigator? Never heard of it. But apparently I'm kept in the dark about everything. Oh,
There's actually some like sort of scandal around it.
oh, he heard about it.
Developer about like demo codes.
Hmm.
For like a little bit of the game for like newspaper game mag, and some people were scamming them. They get the demo codes and they sell the codes on Steam or on like whatever site.
What?
And like people were getting mad because they were buying like only a few levels on the whole game, getting these special codes from not legit sites. So they these bad reviews of the game because they got screwed.
Well, you should type that in the chat, I guess, because I don't think I can repeat all of that. Scandalous. You're in the middle of a match. Oh, boo-hoo, Kaiju. Boo-hoo, Kaiju. Look at these delicate baby hands. These delicate delicates. But I don't know how to doodle. Oh, Jiminy. Jitterbugs. Jitterbug. Jitter. Jitter. I will figure this out. Nope. 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 If only my hand was transparent so I can see where I'm drawing this line. Yeah, it works. Let's see what I got so far. Not bad, not bad. Cool. I need a reference. Almost looks like it's painted on. The way that they got it. Yeah, that sucks. Why does it look so crusty? Crusty. Cool. What you say is reminding me of a webtoon that I'm reading called Let's Play. And pretty much this chick develops a game and this one popular streamer does a really bad review or something. because he didn't understand how to play the game, and because he was popular, destroyed it. Everyone, like, gave it horrible ratings. Cleared things up, and now it's getting good ratings, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Then there's, like, romance tied in there and all that. Tell me if that makes sense. But it's a good webtoon. There's like another app that I got too that's like webtoon. I haven't really looked into them yet, but they're called Pocket Comics. I don't know, I just enjoy reading comics, manga, what have you, for free and not have to pay a bunch. Because, like, okay, I like having a physical book, but having a physical book, whether it be like a novel, manga, or whatever, it's so expensive. Even if it's just one graphic novel, but you want to get the whole series, oh my goodness. It's so much money. I've given up. Like, I used to try to collect them when I was younger, and I have like a couple volumes of, I'm probably gonna slaughter the name, Ouran High School Club, back when I liked those. I had 2 novels for like this vampire one, I forget what it's called. It's not Vampire Knight, it's some other one. No, it's not. Hey to the no. You would think that I would have Rosario Vampire. I've watched the anime for the sake of watching it, but I will never watch it again. It was terrible. Besides all the lewd stuff, it just, like, this sucks. Nothing about it was memorable. The only thing memorable is that, oh, I'm a cute, you know, gentle chick that turns all, like, cereal and, like, I'm gonna kick your butt, vampire, whatever. No, it wasn't that. It was like a dark gothic kind of a style, and I guess it's been so long since I've read it, too. I think the vampire might have been an artist or something. It's an old one. I have, like, 1 or 2 copies, and I think I bought them because they were on sale. Like, they were super cheap for, like, a graphic novel. So I'm like, sure. And I think I do have a couple Vampire Knight ones as well. I don't know if I have anything else. But yeah, it's... Gosh, it's been forever. Like, I have books and things, but they're all tucked away. But yeah, being in high school, I used to be into the whole vampire werewolf thing. Would I say that I'm into it now? I don't know. I guess it all depends. But honestly, I don't know. You want to show... You know, that wouldn't be... Like, if you have a decent-sized collection, you don't have to show your face, but you can always, like, do, a stream about it. Because you know how they'll angle the camera at their desk so you can see their hands? You could just sit, have it a just talking thing. You can pull out graphic novels or whatever. Go over them. I don't know. Ideas. Like, how much do you got, sheep? Yeah, like, I would read more manga. But again, like, access and all that stuff. Like, technically you can get a lot of it online, but I try to do it legally. Like, I don't want to just... Yeah, I'm goody two-shoes. Yeah, I am trying to be a goody two-shoe kaiju. Maybe you can learn something. No. Like, I would prefer to read everything than to watch the show, except a few exceptions. I don't know, like, everyone always says the book is always better. For the most part, it is, because whenever they want to make it into an animation or a movie adaptation, they always strip it, or they'll add fan service, or they'll ruin it somehow. They'll like throw Hollywood in there. Like, Hollywood has no business. No business, man. But yeah, I think I read, not read, sorry. I watched all of Beastars. I feel like if you read the manga, for sure they'd have a lot of extra stuff in there. You know what drives me crazy? When you have an anime and they only do so much of it because they're like, oh, but you gotta read the manga to find out what's next. Or another thing that I hate, which also kind of ties into the first, is that they'll have a story, but when you go further into the manga, all of a sudden, it feels like it changes into a completely different story. Like it goes off tangent and you're wondering how you even got here. Again, reference, Darling and the Franxx. Granted, it wasn't in the manga. It actually happened in the anime. So it was like season 1 and 2, right? There's 2 seasons?
I think it's just a long season 1.
Oh, okay. Like 20-something episodes or
25.
something. Okay. But yeah, it's like, okay, this is awesome. We love Darling and the Franxx. It was great. And then near the end, I'm like, she's turned into a giant ship or something? Wait, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? You lost me. We watched it for the sake of it in its entirety, but oh my gosh. What? Like, I know she was supposed to be a clone or whatever, but I don't know. Sorry, I didn't want to go too deep because it's like spoilers. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. Well, at least I didn't say names of characters. I'm still sorry. Stop. What are you doing? Calling me for food? I'll take a bite. Oh my gosh, pizza crusts are on the counter.
Yeah.
I want pizza crust. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. So, I can't really have pizza because cheese and things, and not that I'm lactose intolerant, but I can't really have fatty foods anymore because of my gallbladder. But Kaiju will save me pizza crusts because I love pizza. Yay! I have pizza crusts. Yummy. Yay. The only taste of pizza I can get. Thank you. Not everyone appreciates pizza crust. When they throw it away, it's just like, what's wrong with you? My favorite is when they have the little air bubbles. Thank you for the hydrate, Simp. And, this pizza crust has been sitting a little bit, so it's starting to get tough. But it's still delicious. Ducks aren't supposed to eat bread? I'm not completely surprised by this, but...
I mean, there's no bread in the wild. Like,
well, no,
wild
duh,
bread bush.
Kaiju. I bet you most of the bread we eat's not good for us either. buy the bread that doesn't go bad after 3 days, you know there's something wrong with that bread. I believe you, sheep. Whether that's true or false, I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty much sticking to truth. If Luffy were in here, they would say otherwise. They would defend ducks. And don't get me wrong, sometimes they can look super, super cute. But then seeing other stuff that they do, you know what? In general, that goes for, like, wildlife overall. Like, oh, that's cute, and then you see them do something messed up. Like, not just, oh, I'm gonna hunt and kill something for food. Like, when they start to play and manipulate or get all psychotic and stuff, it's like, what's going on? What, kaiju? Oh, you have duckies? Aww. Those psychotic duckies. Bye, ducks. Bye. They're the sweetest thing. I bet. I've seen kids, like, on farms, like, with ducks and also chickens, too. You know, like, they like to be hugged. It's so cute. Like, they'll run up to the kid and be like, hug me, I love you. Doggies! Be cute to have ducks over here. Do you think they'd eat all the bugs? What would they do? The only thing is that the doggies would go after the ducks. Unless you get, like, big old geese or something. And attack. Get a whole flock. They like the buggies. Yay! I wonder if they'd eat spiders. We have so many spiders over here. Aww. That's cute. What's your duck look like? Really? Kaiju? You're like, he's got a bill. Watch, it doesn't have any of those things.
Oh god, it's just like, oh, how weird would that look? It looks like a bowling pin.
Oh god, no. So I'm like, he's got a bill and he's got webbed feet. I'm like, what if he doesn't have any of those? And he's like, oh my gosh, he just looked like a bowling pin. Oh. I'm almost done with this pizza crust. It's very chilly. Yeah, but I think it's a goose. This little cute, look at the goose caboose. Oh, look at, oh, that's cute. Did they have a full train? If not, they should.
Oh, that'd be cute. Full train.
Yeah, that'd be cute, right? You have, like, the front engine, you got the caboose, and you got the, cargo or the, passenger. I can see them doing it for raids and stuff, too. Or whatever, hype train. Like, legit hype train. It'd be cute. We gotta get a dancing Mandalorian emote for Wally. I wanna see the Mando dance. Dance for me. Ah. Now, what dance is the question?
Sad cat dance.
Sad cat dance? Which one's that? What's a sad cat dance, Kaiju? Find an animated artist. That's true. Like, I've just gotten into animation. I'd probably do a disappoint. Like, gosh, Sunset, did you see my animated, Fen dance? Hold on. Let me see if I open it. I think it's like my second or third attempt at an animation. Why can't my brain think? Open, that's it. Here. And let me get the timeline. Where are we at? Where are we at? There. So I just did a simple animation. It's a little rough at the end, but yeah. I'm gonna have that as an emo as soon as it gets approved. Yeah! It's the clean Anka dance. Not the naughty one. So I'm very happy how it turned out. Kaiju's like, I can't wait until it gets approved. I'm gonna spam it. But yeah, I'm happy about it too. Like, I don't know. I'm willing to give more animated stuff a shot. Like, I have to work on more animated stuff anyway, because, like, I want to make all of my stuff. Like, starting soon screen or BRB or whatever. We shall see. But gosh, just to make that animation, it was 10 panels. And it got very tedious because it, you know, obviously it's like doing the same thing over and over again with one small alteration. And I was just like, please let it stop. Let it stop. Because, like, you have to color and do the line art for all of it. Like, what? I am not doing the other version. This is got to be the clean streams, Mr. the Sheep. How about, if you want it so bad, I can try to make an animated Anka dance, but with you, Sheep. If you want it that bad, I'll try my best. It'd have to be a commission, because that would drive me insane doing the panel by panel. So... yeah, panel by panel. Panel by panel. Sorry, that was pretty good, Kaiju.
Sorry, you said it. I was like,
like, how much we talking? I don't know. How much do you think it would be worth? In all honesty. 3 chicken. I don't want chickens. I'm sorry, Kaiju.
And a duck.
3 chickens and a duck, Kaiju says. But yeah, it's like, how naughty are we going? Like, would you do like the clean dance, or like if you were to do the naughty dance? It's like, how much do you? Because you know you got to think of TOS with Twitch, and also nothing too dirty to where like I'm working on it and the kids are like, what's that, mommy? I want to do that dance, and then it's like, yeah. Like, no, stop it, no. Yeah, we'll teach the kids Fortnite dances. It was for Twitch. Oh my, oh no.
No!
Thank you. Yeah, Kaiju's the one who makes the center material, but the problem is he's never done an animation before, and his last art stream legit was his first time ever doing the digitals. Granted, you played a little bit with it before, but like barely. I think Sheep's getting excited.
Oh my.
Oh my. Meh. Meh. He'll start doing like mating calls. Like, no, Sheep, no. Pretty much it's just the hands, I think. Hold on, wait. I feel like I have to do over the head. It looks like a goblin. Let's be honest. Let's see. Hanky panky. Yeah, so the hand is what I'm missing. A little bit of that. It'll probably look nicer with the eye done for sure. Oh, you mean like my version thingy-mabobby, or? I'm just trying to figure out how a sheep would fit into it. Yeah, the clean version. What, baby? Oh, sheep's, he says if you're serious though, I think an Anka dance emote commission would be dope. Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think of doing the Anka dance, but with sheep and the emote space, it'd probably be fine. Yeah. We've only ever seen his top half, though. Kaiju's already like, you can make it really fat thunder thighs and a big butt. It's like, Kaiju, you're just as excited. I don't wear pants. He's pulling a Donald. Kaiju's like, good. It's like Donald Duck, yeah. Oh gosh, that's fun. That's really fun. So that means you don't tuck in your shirts. Okay. You just, they're unprofessional. You look so tidy on stream, who knew? It's something to consider, like if you're serious about it, I can give it a go. As far as pricing, I am not sure. Oh, what, Kaiju? Unprofessional. It's like a crazy frog situation. Oh, no, 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 no. 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 No, 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 sheep, no. No. I'm not. Thank you for understanding. No. I wish I was in the dock. I wish I didn't understand.
Underscore sheepsteak says ring ding ding day a bar ramba bar bomb bar baruamba why what's going on? Ding ding, this is the crazy frog ding ding bem bem. Ring ding 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 ring ding 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 bem 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 ring ding 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 ring ding 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 bar ring ding 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 ring ding 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 bem 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 ring ding 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 ding. This is the crazy frog breakdown. Ding ding.
Oh my gosh. Hedgie, no. What have you done? You have poisoned the mind of my poor Hedgie. I think we've watched it here and there, but Jenna's auntie and uncle pulled it up and drilled it into him, and then they were all about Crazy Frog. And it would die down after a while, but from time to time, she still goes on a Crazy Frog marathon. Hooray! Uh-huh. Still likes it. Hooray. Well, at least she's not into Frosty the Snowman as much, because she was, oh my gosh, what was it, last Christmas or the year before? So the year before last, she was so into Frosty the Snowman, so much so that even after the holidays were done, she kept watching it over and over and over and over, all the way up until almost the following Christmas. Yeah. I regretted the Witch Doctor. It's like, I would sing it in my, in the car or whatever, and then Kaiju's like, yeah, let's turn it on, because we were doing a nightly drive. This was before Levi. And, we'd just drive around, she'd fall asleep, joy rides. But yeah, she was awake, we played music, and then it got stuck in her head, and that's all she wanted. And then I was questioning my decision, because she would want to watch it at home, and you'd pull up the YouTube video, and of course you see these two chicks with huge badonkas. and the guy slapping her butt, and it's like, oh, my poor child, what have I done? Yep, and Barbie girl. Thank goodness they don't know what they say in Barbie girl. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I was oblivious. Get older, and they're like, wait, what? What is Crazy Frog? Oh, Simp Nation. You lucky soul. You're so lucky. That's what I just leave it at that. No, I have no idea what that is. Kaiju, do you know what Bloodhound Gang is? That was big when he was a kid. I don't know that one. I'm afraid to know it. Yeah, fingers suck. I hate him. Hate doing fingies. Fingies suck. Hate you. I hate you! Like, hopefully it just gets lost in the rest of the picture. Like, never make me do that again. You monster. You monster. Monsters. Hate you. Hate you, hands. You suck. You suck! Just copy and paste it from somewhere. There you go. Oh yeah, she does. She's calmed down a bit as of late, but it's not hard to get her kicked up about it again. Like, she's still obsessed with Frozen. Like, my folks just sent us 3 care packages, so the kids have like toys and clothes, shoes, whatever, and like several Frozen items were in there, so that kick-started it up again. And the arts that she loves to use, it has like a metal container with like crayons, markers, temporary tattoos, little pictures to draw. She loves it. Got upset though because I accidentally stepped on the metal case and bent it because this kid does not want to clean their room. I have to struggle with them with it. She, like, lately she isn't too bad because sometimes, depending, maybe we can swear and without fighting she'll go clean her room. But yeah, so I keep trying to drill it into her. It's like, if you would take care of your things, you know? Or if you just cleaned up, you can find stuff. If you just cleaned up, you can put them in a safe spot so no one can damage them. Or just the fact that I can just go into her room and walk to the bed and back, that's clean enough for me. But she gets it so bad. Like, you cannot make your way through there. It's terrible. Like, they just took everything and threw it all over the floor.
Sunset Bluff says into the unknown. Into the unknown. Into the UNO.
Into the unknown. She's getting better with words, too. Overall, I think she's just getting better. Like, remembering things, motor skills, playing Vigima games. Anime guy! Welcome, welcome! How are you? I'm doing great. And, it's going. Like, so far, I might make adjustments along the way. It's a bunch of squibbles. But I'm working on line art for one of the characters. So I got, oh, yay, done so far. And then I'm in a witch's hat. Feel like at that point I need a broom. But yeah, they wanted hats from Splatoon. I missed the ears. He's like, nah, just cut the ears off, have the hat on. It's like, oh, okay. He's got a roller. This one's getting half smushed. And he's got dualies, but one of his arms is already crushed through the thing. And they got a bucket, a tri-slosher. And you're cuddling it because it's adorable. Love the avatar. Oh, for I think their name is Pank. They stream, but gosh, their full name is a bit longer. But yeah, they're playing like Splatoon 2, 3, 3. Yeah, my bad. No, that's what I thought too. Maybe through the hat, but I don't know. They want what they want. And I will try my best to do. Like, technically, I guess it makes sense. Unless, you know, you made the little ear holes. But yeah, how does that work? Like, if you make the holes for the ears, how big are those holes would they have to be? And would it be uncomfortable? Are they like little slits and you just jam the ears in there? Ah, what is it? So let's see. Oh, no ears. Why not have them coming through the hat? I meant yours. Oh, mine. So on mine, I think I'm going to put the ears through. If I can work it that way. I just did a rough sketch. I'll figure it out as I go. But I think I want my ears to poke through. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my. Look at that Kermie emote. Beautiful. Kermit the Frog here. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Oh my. It's gotten a lot later than I thought it has, Kaiju. You know what time it is? Look at that. It's 3 hours. I'm like, I'm just gonna go 2.5 hours. 3 hours later. Like, because I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. So I'm probably gonna end stream. Yeah, 3 hours and 5 minutes. Who to you? I don't want to go to the doctors. I hate doing it, but I do it. Kaiju, on the other hand, is like, oh, I hate going to the doctors. I'm like, you should go to the doctors. No, I'm not going to go to the doctors. But babe, you should totally go to the doctors. Like, what? Why don't you go? Why is it just me? Yes, exactly. He's a baby. You big baby. You should be watching for your blood work and stuff. But he's like, no, I'd rather ignore reality and then everything becomes like a poo storm at the end. Like, oh, why did this happen? Like, well, maybe if you went to your doctor's appointments and you properly regulated and kept up with stuff. Maybe. Oh, I don't doubt that. Like, I used to work in a medical field. I worked at an urgent care, and I also worked in a regular primary care with specialists as well. Not all of them are winners. I don't know. That's all I could say about that. Like, some of them are so bad, while others actually sit and take the time to take care of you, but hooray! Do we want to raid anybody? Does anyone have any suggestions? Let's see, who's on right now? Let's see. Doop-a-doo. Doop-a-doo. Oh my goodness, you. Okay, none of the people I follow are on.
No one's on.
No one's on for you either. That is funky. Alright, let's see. Maybe we can look around in, let's see, would we do games, more art? What do you think, Kaiju? I'm gonna go through the art section too, yeah. You want to go to a smaller streamer? That's... Oh my, that one's not appropriate. Ooh woo. I like her setup. Sorry, it's like she's got hot pink hair. She's got Sailor Moon on her chair. Maybe it's a blanket. I see a Gengar and a lot of lights. Just existing. I don't know. I guess she's... 60 viewers, 25. Where's the small fish? Where are those small fish? I was following a plan where I'd write my blood sugars down and everything by sending it via text to my parents. Dumb, but yes, and then I told them I did it. They tell me that I'm clearly doing it wrong. I'm like, bruh, I followed your plans. Oh, you know someone doing art? What's their username? I'll look it up. Yo, Pikachu doing confetti. Pika Pika. Black Eyed Toast. Let's see. Let's see. You know, I think I've seen them before.
When we were a motorized bicycle company,
I don't know, it
they
sounds
said
familiar.
we'll never be more than that.
Interesting. Sorry if you hear ads. Mute that. Yeah, I don't mind. You want to do that? Alrighty. We'll go ahead and read Black Eyed Toast. Thank y'all for joining me, Fen-sized, on my doodling commissionee's adventures. And until next time, have a wonderful evening. Good night. Love you. Mwah. We're going to start a raid. Click. Black, 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 black. Click. What, Kaiju?
The wolf.
Get what?
I don't know. I don't know.
Good night, everyone.
It's sorry. Hello. Thank you, anime guy, for I assume you brought Fen in. Sorry for the screen. Thank you so much for the raid. How's your stream? Yes, Fen. How's your stream? Thank you for coming through. Fen scared me. You mean? Got AV to explain my.
I scared her because I guess
my
the
God,
eyeballs
nice.
and the
It just works
sound
like
and
that?
everything.
That's awesome.
So I heard her. She's like, ah.
Did well, thank you. Feel free to, if you got any work that you'd like to share, feel free to drop the link in the chat so we can check it out. They feed off nostalgia and suck up your nostalgia soul and cash. Yes, that is very much current model of Nintendo and Disney too.